we really enjoyed our time at Table Rock State Park. I would say that it is a outdoor enthusiasts campground. There is hiking, there is fishing, there's 2 different ponds.
Swimming.
There's swimming, there's more hiking.
There's a nature center during normal times.
That's right. They've got various different animals, things you would expect in a nature center.
Snakes and spiders and,
right.
Creatures, small creatures.
Table Rock sits on just over 3,000 acres, right along the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Officially, it's in Pickens, South Carolina. It's on Highway 11, which is one of the most scenic highways in the state. There's several other parks that are right along that area. So it's probably one of the most popular campgrounds.
I would say it was
right after we bought the camper. That's the one people said,
yeah, you got to go to Table Rock.
You got to go to Table Rock. You got to put that on your list. So we really enjoyed our time there. Mention the hiking.
And I would say my biggest takeaway from Table Rock, especially because we went with a 5 and 7-year-old, was I kind of had the impression that if you couldn't hike to Table Rock, which is a 6-mile, extremely high incline hike. I mean, it's serious. Like, you had to register that you were going on the hike so that they could look for you at the end of the day. You have to put down what car you drove. Yeah. I mean, it was like, we're going to hunt for you if your car is in the parking lot at the end of the day. It's a hike.
It's a strenuous hike.
And so I was kind of a little nervous about, okay, well, a 5 and 7-year-old, is there a point in us going if we can't hike to Table Rock? And I think absolutely there's a point. Now, our goal is that we'll hike it when the kids get a little bit bigger, and we actually will do the whole hike. But we did Carrick Falls. Yeah, right. Or Carrick Creek.
Carrick Creek Falls.
I think it's Carrick Creek
Falls hike.
And it's like part of the first part of the actual Table Rock hike, and then it kind of scoots off and goes in a circle. But right at the base of that hike, within 100 yards of the nature center and at that part of the hike is all paved, right. Boardwalk type.
Or some stone stairs.
Yeah. And you just dump out at this waterfall that you can play in.
And you'll see it right here.
To take the kids to splash and play on the rocks in the river and the waterfall. And then there's like a tiny little beachy spot. And it was just the coolest little opportunity for them to see something that they had never seen and actually get in the water, play there. Lots of people you could tell had come really just to that first
and then
bit.
They were done.
And that was it. They were done. Or they came and played, or they had their lunch. And there was all this seating and benches and levels and things there. You could, if you didn't want to get in the water, you could sit up a little bit higher and just watch the pond. There was just a lot of activity right there that I think that made it worthwhile. Right. And then we were able to do the 2.5.
Did the Carrick Falls loop, which follows one creek up one side, then it kind of crosses over a ridge, and then follows the creek back down on the other side. So no matter which way you go, you're going to get falls either going up or coming down. And
it was really cool. There was a lot of places that you could see the water, or you could see a waterfall, or you could see the foliage and different things. There was a lot of it that was boardwalky kind of bridge. And then there was some steepness and there was some steps. I mean, our little guy, there was some times where the little step was as high as he could step.
But a 5-year-old could do it. So we would just want to say, don't get discouraged and think you can't do that.
And there will be people going past you, and you just morning or afternoon, and they've got their backpacks in their water. Take a snack, take your backpack. Right.
Also along that hike is where there's access to the 80-mile foothills trail that connects several of the parks along the foothills, and I believe it connects to the Appalachian Trail. So the Appalachian Trail doesn't come through Table Rock, but it connects with that foothills trail.
And there was people prepared to do that day as well. It was really cool to see the different levels of between whether it was grandmamas and little kids going just to the falls, and then people with the full backpack gear hiking 80 miles to the other parks. So I think that was the big takeaway I had.
Wow, look at that rock! It's a mountain.
That's the mountain.
Okay, I'll be in the middle.
cold?
No. I like how you do it. My dad did it.
A couple things about the campground. There's 2 campgrounds for campers. Mountain Laurel is the one up front. I believe it's the older one. There are actually kind of a first loop and a second loop inside of there. The second loop really isn't for larger campers. There's a pretty severe turn coming out of it, and it can be really hard to get a larger rig out of there. These sites are a little bit closer to each other, but you could tell that they have been doing some improvements.
Yeah, there was some that were all structured,
new
edges,
timbers, new gravel.
New fire pits, new picnic tables, and
they've
it's like,
been fixing those up.
This is nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We stayed in the White Oaks, which is the one in the back on the other side of the trailhead. A little more remote, a little quieter. Some of those sites are a little smaller, but there was also some room for some large rigs in there. There were 2 paved spots for handicap inside of the White Oaks.
And they had nice big bathrooms.
Very nice bathrooms and shower facilities.
And that made a nice little loop for the kids because it was a little wider, and so to take a walk or something. A lot of times the kids and I explore the campsites while he cooks or something, and so we made several loops there.
And as you see on the walk around of our site, we were right on a creek. Creek followed around the outer portion of probably 5 or 6 campsites. I would say it was really pretty.
Yeah, we could get down on that site. We did get down in the water and play a little bit. It was probably only a couple inches deep at our end, but there were people who had sites that then they had hammocks over the creek.
Right.
So it was kind of cool. There was a neat aspect of that side of the sites.
All right, I'm gonna take a moment and show y'all our campsite here at Table Rock State Park. We are staying in the White Oaks campground portion of the campground. It is quite a ways back off the main highway, separated from a lot of the rest of the campground. It's pretty quiet and really nice back here. I was excited when I made this reservation because it was a pull through, but as I got in here, we had a little issue with where the hookups are. The picnic table was out here, and as you come around, the fire pit is over here away from the picnic table, and the hookups are on this side. And if we'd have just pulled straight in, hookups would have been on the wrong side. Now our awning would have been out looking over this beautiful creek, and the kids have had fun playing in that creek, right here especially. Can't really get to it except for right there, but it's really nice. It has a beautiful sound at night. But it just wasn't going to work for the awning and the picnic table, so we decided it was back out and then go around and kind of loop around. You see there's the one-way sign, and they want you to go and loop back around kind of in the wrong direction for a lot of these for backing in, but it worked out for us. We came around, we're able to pull in this way. We have plenty of space right here out of the main road for us to set up our little cooking area, picnic table. So it's worked out very well. See, the awning is a little bit of an angle because we've had rain. Both days we've been here, matter of fact, I had to set up in the rain. First time doing that. That was fun. Come back around over here and look at the hookup setup. It's pretty standard water. It is not full hookups, so we're filling our tanks right now. We will do a dump and we'll leave tomorrow. You see we have 50 and 30 amp. Even though we don't need the 50 amp, that's nice, and it's a good site. It's grown on us as we've been here. There's also some cabins for rent at Table Rock. Many of those cabins were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps along with Gaines Lodge. For the campsites, check-in is either at the visitor center, which is across the street from the campground, or you can also check in at the camp store, which is next to the Mountain Laurel campground near the dump station.
There was also there they had laundry
Yes.
as well. So if you're staying a little bit longer and don't have that in your, they did actually have on-site laundry.
One of the drawbacks of the area, it's a little remote, so there's probably going to be a little bit of a drive if you got to run to a grocery store.
You might want to do that before you get.
Yeah, there's not great cell service there, so you've got to go a little ways down the highway to get a really strong cell service or to get groceries and things like that. So you need to come prepared to be remote.
But the little camp store was super cute and very helpful. Lots of good little trinkets and things, and
they had some supplies. They had some groceries. If you run out of mayonnaise or ketchup or
they had the baby
something
mayonnaise.
like that. Yep,
the kids think are so funny.
They had those kind of things, but you're probably not going to find a lot of big groceries there. One place that we did stop, and I'll put this in here, is the Pumpkintown Mountain Opry, a little restaurant, and
so cute.
Ice cream.
The barbecue.
It looked like
antiques and
It
some.
looked like there was a music venue in the back. Now, because of COVID and the virus, all that was shut down. They were only doing takeout, but it looks like it'd be a really neat place to stop.
Look, I think they said like every Saturday night they normally had an event.
Right, a dinner and a show, or you could just go to the show.
And there was a couple vendors, and there was a couple other times they showed that there was a craft.
Right.
Saturday mornings, it was like people could set up their crafts and mountain crafts and things, and so it's definitely worth a little visit. And the people were super great, and I'm sure they're struggling during this time in COVID, and hopefully they're bouncing back as things get bigger.
Speaking of non-COVID years, they typically do have a bluegrass concert once a month.
Yeah, that sounded like
so
fun.
Check out their website. Hopefully that'll be back soon.
That was at the park.
Yeah, actually at the park, sponsored by the park itself. One tip if you plan on doing some hiking while you're up at Table Rock is to go check out the map that they have at the office/visitor center on the other side of Highway 11. It's a really neat 3D topographical map where you can really see the mountains and the valleys and where the trails go. You can see the lay of the land of the entire campground. It's really well done, and I'm a visual guy, so it really helped me to understand what we were going to be doing when we're taking these trails up and around Carrick Falls. If you really want to be adventurous and you're going to go up and do the Table Rock Trail, you can see what it's going to entail, where the difficult spots are going to be, where the easier parts are going to be. I think that would be really helpful. Another thing that I would encourage everybody to do, if you've got the time, is go check out some of the other state parks that are up and down Highway 11. Highway 11 is known as South Carolina's Scenic Highway for a reason. There's Kiwi-Toxaway State Park to the south. Go a little bit further up north, you could do like what we did and went to Caesar's Head State Park, and while we were there, we rode up to Pretty Place Chapel, which is a beautiful chapel on a bluff overlooking the mountain, overlooking the valley. I'm going to do a separate video on that, so be looking for that in the next week or so. We did not get to go to Jones Gap State Park, which is right below Pretty Place Chapel. We wanted to, but because of the virus, they're limiting the number of people that can get in there, and you had to have reservations. We didn't know that in advance. So we couldn't get in there. We're gonna have to make a separate trip. But if you're trying to do the ultimate outsider and you want to get as many parks as you can, Table Rock is a great place to be kind of a base station where you can stay there and then go visit some of the other parks if you stay long enough. I think that's a great idea. There's a reason why Table Rock is a signature state park in South Carolina. It was fabulous. We really, really enjoyed our time there, and I think you ought to check it out. One last thing I want to show you. This park is so big, and it has 2 distinct campgrounds. So I wanted to show you what it's like to go through those sites. I did a time lapse as I drove through them, and then drove from the front, Mountain Laurel, all the way back to White Oaks, so you can kind of get an idea of how far back you have to go in order to get back to the back section.